Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so here we are for another week of fantastic questions. We're going to jump to them in just a minute, but before we do, don't forget the YouTube magic, okay? Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, enable notifications. All those things are required to help us grow the Kendo population. We've already had 15 billion people start Kendo in the last 2 weeks through this initiative. What you have to do, you like, you share, you subscribe to the channel. You have to put a comment down below using the word Kendo, all right? And then the YouTube ninja robots go out and they get people to start Kendo, all right? Pretty sure this is how it works. We've been trialing this all of this year, and the Kendo population has just grown exponentially since we've done it. I reached out to Google. Is this how it works? I asked them how it works. They didn't deny it, so I'm taking that as affirmation. So that's what you need to do, all right? Like, share, subscribe on the little subscribe thing, enable the notifications, and then leave a comment that uses the word Kendo. Wow, this is the best Kendo channel I've ever seen in my life, or something like that, okay? And the robots know what to do, all right? And that will help us grow the Kendo population. More importantly than that, though, if you like this video, if you like these kind of videos that I put out, whether it's these Kendo rants where I answer your questions, whether it's the feedback videos where I give you feedback on videos that you send in, whether it's analytical videos, whether it's instructional videos, all of it comes to you for free, all right? There's no monthly subscriptions. I don't ask you for memberships, nothing like that. You don't have to pay for subtitles, none of that stuff. All you have to do to support the channel, and here's the best bit, it's a win-win situation, is shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar.com is the best Kendo equipment website in the galaxy, universe, multiverse, everything-verse, history and future of the human race. KendoStar is the best. Now, of course, I would say that because I own the place. But it's true, all right? Everyone agrees with me, okay? We are an established brand focusing on the international Kendo community. We are not a middleman. We're not drop shipping to you. We're not operating this out of our bedrooms or mum's basement or anything like that. We are an established company with a team of staff on hand to help you, provide you with the best possible equipment and deliver the best possible service, all right? You don't want to buy twice. Buy first the right time, the first time round. Buy right the first time round. That's what I'm trying to say. And shop at KendoStar.com. Okay, let's get to these questions. Hello, Sensei. Have you thought about writing a book about Kendo? And do you have a Kendo book recommendation? I have thought about writing a book about Kendo a few times, but I've never really got round to it. I've always been a bit like, you know, I mean, I put a lot of stuff on YouTube, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to write a book at some point. Maybe I will, but I don't know. I need the time to do it. I've got a few ideas of what I would like to do for a book. But in the meantime, if you go to kensh247.com, George publishes some fantastic books. Definitely highly recommended. The other book that I recommend is the Guide for Kendo Instruction, which I'm just trying to find. I've got the Japanese version here on my desk, which is this one. It's from the All Japan Kendo Federation, but there is an English version and we sell it on KendoStar.com as well, all right? The All Japan Kendo Federation Guide to Kendo Instruction. That is basically the Kendo Bible. That is a fantastic book as well. Next one, I'd love to see a video on how to break out a new set of Kendogi and Hakama. What do you do personally when you get a new set? Washing it, drying it, or do you use it right out of the pack? Thank you for all you do for the Kendo community. Okay, so it depends on the type of uniform. If it's our Kachi set, which is a synthetic set that I use a lot for training because it's very easy to look after and to wash. I don't have to worry about the color fading or running or staining me or anything like that. Then I use it straight out of the pack. If we're looking at an Aizome set, something like our new Kiyoi, that's the latest one that I've got, or the Kurenai, or the Kimboshi, something like that, then what I would do, I would wash it first, just to get rid of any excess dye and just to kind of soften up the fabric. So the way I do that is by doing it in, I've done the video of how to wash a kendogi, just in cold water. When it's brand new, I take it out of the pack. I don't take, for the first time, I don't take the, you know, the shipping threads off. It's got the threads on, keeping the pleats all together. I don't take those off. I just put it in the water like that, so the pleats stay nice and neat. And then just soak it in there for a bit, and then just let it air dry, is what I do, before using it for the first time. I'll try it. Maybe I'll make a video on that at some point. But it's basically the same process that I've done for the other ones. To be honest, I try and use a bigger bucket if I can. Even if you use the bathtub as well, that's not a bad idea. But be careful not to stay in the bathtub. So that it doesn't, you know, like scrunch up. The less you can scrunch it up, the better. Okay. Hi Sensei, thank you for providing us with another insightful kendo video. I've been curious about this for a while, but is it possible to score ippon with tsuki as a hiki-waza, or is it considered hansoku? Consequently, would it be hansoku to push your opponent away on their mune using the kensen? Okay. So you can't, there's no there's no hiki-waza that is tsuki. Hiki-Tsuki is not a waza. Okay, can't do it. It's not hansoku, it's just not possible. Okay, you can do tsuki and then go backwards, but that's not hiki-tsuki. Just like if you hit men and then go backwards, that's not hiki-men. Hiki-men is the act of hitting us kind of this way. You know, if you do kind of like a men and then go backwards, that's not hiki-men, that's hitting men and going backwards. Really. But you can, after you do tsuki, you can do zanshin by withdrawing. That's no problem. But you can't do tsuki from tsubazeri. It's not possible. Okay, so just don't consider it as a waza. About as you push your opponent away on their mune using the kensen. It depends on the context, but in general, if you're talking about separating from tsubazeri, the current provisional rules, and I think they'll become the permanent rules, are very clear that you're not allowed to do that, and that will be hansoku. Yeah, if you're talking about as you separate, if you like separate slowly and then push on their chest with your shinai, like this way, yeah, that will be given as hansoku under the current rules. Once from tsubazeri, once it's time to separate, you must smoothly separate in a single motion to far distance. Okay, not this kind of do push sort of thing. Just separate. Okay, that's the answer to that. We're flying through these. Hey Sensei, I hope all is well. More of a curiosity question this week. When performing debana kote, after hitting the kote, the player often dodges their head as they come in, presumably to avoid receiving an incoming men strike. However, with debana men, the player who performs the debana often gets struck quickly after as their opponent goes men. So is there a reason why it's acceptable to be struck in debana men but less acceptable in debana kote? Is it just a different criteria or different strikes kind of thing? Thank you so much. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. So after you hit debana kote, you hit and then you might move your head out the way to make sure you don't get hit with the shinai. Whereas when you do debana men, you'll hit the men, and obviously they'll be trying to hit the men at the same time. So often you hit the men and then shortly after they might make contact and hit your men as well. That's a reasonably common outcome. Now the thing is it's best not to get hit with the shinai. And the best debana men, you don't get hit with the shinai either, actually, though sometimes it happens. Now, in the case of degote, if you made a really good, well-timed degote, and it's clearly the correct, you took the debana, you hit at the correct point, you made the good seme, bam, this way, and then they happen to hit your men after that, the debana kote can still obviously be considered as ippon. But the reason you might want to hit and then move slightly to avoid being hit is just covering your bases, right? Now, you can't do that with debana men. When you do debana men, you have to go this way. You have to be straight on to hit. So there's not a lot you can do to avoid it. But with kote, it's a bit different, isn't it? You can hit and then you've got you've got like a split millisecond to avoid an oncoming strike if there is one. And of course, it's better to do that than get hit. All right, just in case maybe the kote wasn't ippon, all right, or wasn't good enough for ippon. Why risk it, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's not that like it's okay to get hit for the men, and not for the degote. It's better not to get hit in either situation, but you can do more to avoid it when you do degote over when you do debana men. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's the point of what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Hope so. Hello, Andy. Got one big question and a small one. Okay, great. I'm intending to participate in the Godo Geiko at the WKC. How should I approach this opportunity to Keiko with so many talented people from around the world? Should I do my usual Kendo or should I change my mindset? What should I take from it in the end? Secondly, when is the appropriate time for someone to begin learning to ski? I think the appropriate time for someone to begin learning to ski is pretty early on. Once you start wearing boga, definitely, or even before. There's a reason it's part of the Bokuto ni yoru Kihon waza keiko ho. I think it's weird that sometimes we say, oh, you're not allowed to do ski until you're shodan. Obviously, it depends on age. If you're if you're practicing with children, you don't do ski against children. All right. It should be against people who are sort of 15, 16 upwards, generally. But I don't really like the idea of saying, oh, you got to wait until you're whatever done until you can do ski. And then suddenly, like, you've never done it before. Okay, now it's fine for you to do it. It's kind of weird. I think it's another waza you should be able to practice from the beginning. In terms of the Godo Geiko at the WKC, I'm not sure about it. I think it depends on the context of who you're practicing with. If you go and practice one of the high level senseis, then you should just try to show an attacking mindset and try to keep positive and try to do the correct strikes. When you think the sensei wants you to strike, you should try to strike, and don't be afraid of the kaisi waza or the debana waza. You try to see if you can understand when the sensei expects you to hit. That's the best thing you can take from practicing with the sensei, is try to understand when they want you to hit and then hit. Doesn't matter if you make the hit or not. If that makes sense. Well, if you're practicing with like other team members and stuff, then you can do your sort of normal keiko, I guess, depending on who it is. But yeah, I think you can do that. And just try to enjoy as well. Just try to enjoy. So, yeah. With the World Championships in 2024 in Milan, just weeks away. This is Friday. I'm flying there on Monday. It's days away. Excitement's in the air even during regular training. Competitors are likely feeling the pressure as they finalise their preparations. Andy, since you've participated before, what do you think the athletes, coaches and referees are experiencing, and what do you think we can expect from the event? Okay, so I can talk on this in a few different contexts. One is as a former player, and two is I am participating this time as a coach. I'm the coach of our national team this time. So I've got a bit of a different insight into how it is for the athletes this time. My daughter, my eldest daughter, is also a participant as an athlete. She will be playing on our women's team. So I can't tell you what it's like from a referee's point of view. Obviously, I can kind of empathise with it a little bit from the point of view of someone who's done this sort of thing from at the European Championships, but it's a much bigger event, of course. So I'd say that I think at this stage, I'm sure a lot of the people involved, the players, the coaches, the referees, these people, I'm sure it still doesn't quite feel real yet. It won't start to feel real until we're in Milan, and probably Thursday morning, maybe even Wednesday. It's going to start feeling real when we get to Milan. We start getting to the hotel. There's other national teams around. There's people that we know from before for some of us, and it's all going to start to be like, okay, it's happening. And then it's all going to start to get a little bit more like, not just real, but kind of current. It's like, now it's happening now. I think right now there's probably some, bits of nervous feelings still, though. It's kind of impending, right? It's just around the corner. So you know, yeah, if you think about it, like when you think about, oh, it's a World Championships in a few days, like when you start thinking about it, of course, that makes you nervous a little bit. And I'm sure for the players, that's very, very much the case. I certainly feel like that as a coach, because, you know, I've seen my team over the last 12 months, really work hard, really get on board with the vision that I have for our team, and you know, buy into that and work hard towards it and really push themselves. And obviously, of course, I feel that they deserve to do well, and I want that for them. So of course, you know, it's a nerve wracking prospect. I'm sure they will do very well. I'm sure they will, but the still, it's always nerve wracking, right? And of course, you know, I have responsibility as well, right? The participants of our you know, in this tournament have got a responsibility to represent our country, and as the person that's sort of trained them towards that, a large part of that responsibility lays on me too, right? So of course I'm slightly nervous about it, not in the same way I was if I was a player. It was different when I was a player. So yeah, it's the first time I've done it in this context, so it's a bit strange as well. So I'm not really sure. We'll see. I am nervous, but not like I was when I was playing, I think. It's a different kind of pressure. It's a different kind of pressure, you know. When I was a player, I was like, if I felt nervous, I'd just go to training. Just train. But I can't train my way into this. I have to help them train. So, in terms of the referees, I'm sure the referees are very nervous as well. I was very nervous before doing the Europeans last year, and it's a much bigger event than that. It's very difficult being a referee at that level. Someone's always got something to say about it, right? You have to put yourself in the spotlight. You have to be the one that takes responsibility for the decisions that you make that not everybody might like. And you're obviously being scrutinized the whole time, not just by the senseis that are there, the Shimpan Shunin, Shimpancho, those sort of, you know, and of course the what do you call it, the committee, the judge, what's it called, refereeing committee from the All Japan Kendo Federation. They'll be there too, but from everybody watching, right, from the players, from the spectators, everyone watching on the live stream, it's tough. It's tough job. So interesting. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be amazing anyway. In any case, I think in terms of what can we expect from the event, it's the first one in 6 years. It's going to be so great. Honestly, I'm really excited for it at the same time as being nervous. I think it's obviously been a long time coming. I think the unfortunate event of the last one being cancelled has obviously led to a really interesting dynamic this time, because what's happened obviously is that it's kind of skipped a generation in a way. So a lot of teams are very new teams. Our team's a very new team, you know, and the Japanese team, very new team. There's not many on the Japanese team that have been in this before. So, you know, and all the teams are in that situation, I think. So it's going to be super interesting. Everyone's excited about it. And I think it's going to be a great tournament. Next one. Hello, Sensei. I have a question about an awkward phase I seem to be going through. The last few practices, I keep getting hit right on the point of my middle finger knuckle when an opponent strikes kote. The first few times it happened, it wasn't bad, but the more it happens, the more bruised that has become. I think it's getting hit more because I'm maybe trying to protect it subconsciously, especially against Jordan. I remember in one of your rants you explained how you had a phase for a while where you kept getting hit on the tip of the thumb. Wondering if you had any advice. I'm sure it has a lot to do with my kamae, angle of grip, raising my hands too much when attempting men's strike. I'm only second kyu, been practicing boga for about a year. If all else fails, I'm going to save my pennies and buy a new KendoStar Kote. Thanks for all the wonderful videos and advice. Cheers. Good. And side question, somebody else posted on that. Please refer me to the episode of the pointing out to the thumb thing. That'd be really nice. Okay, so yeah, look, if you're getting hit on the middle finger, so here, when you're receiving, I'm guessing this happened in Jigeko, not in, Kihon. It's probably something to do with the way you are raising your hands to kind of defend. And it might be the way your kama is. It's impossible to say. Even by seeing, it's something that is happening, obviously, with some kind of mismatch. Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's probably going to be it's going to have something you're going to have to study a little bit yourself, in terms of just, try changing your grip a little bit, maybe try change the angle of your kamae a little bit, maybe think about how you're defending yourself a little bit. I mean, one thing I'd say is, if you're getting hit on the kote, even if you're getting hit here, you've made a mistake because you've let them in to hit you. If this is in keiko, for example, it's not, it might be an accuracy issue, but it's like, that's like their mistake rather than your ability to defend. Do you know what I'm saying? So try to defend with your footwork more than you defend with your hands. Don't leave your feet still when you block. Move forward with your footwork, and make it so you're less likely to get hit on the kote at all. I think that's the way to go. I mean, it's not impossible that it's to do with your boga. I don't know if it's, yeah, obviously KendoStar is really focused on making sure your boga is properly protective and has plenty of protection in the fist section of the kote. And I know for a fact that that's not always the case with every other brand out there. So it's not impossible that's part of it as well. But I'm not, talking about the actual cause of being hit there. Try to think about using your footwork to block. About referring you to the episode, pointing to the thumb thing, I couldn't refer you to the episode, to be honest. I've got no idea which one it was. I think I've talked about it a few times, but I've been through phases in the past where I think it was, I'd sort of try and block sort of like this, and I'd end up getting hit right on the tip of my thumb, or on this one, somehow. I'd have a sort of phase of it, and yeah, that was pretty painful. And again, I was just leaving my feet where they were. So best way to defend is use your footwork rather than just your hands and your shinai. Okay. Next one. Oh, we've got another one. This is the last one. Okay, all right. Okay, so referring to the question about the middle finger bruise above, going against senseis or experienced kendoka, even Jordan or Nito, it's really hard to find an opportunity to hit. Yeah. People often say just throw everything into the attack or stop hesitating. Yeah. But I think the case would be the student did not see any opening and failed to make an opening against the experienced one. So we just might as well hit men and take the counter, then get hurt. Well, I don't know why you get hurt. Anyway, how to find the balance between commitment into the strike and reckless abandon. I don't care about getting countered and strike anyway. If I don't care, isn't that reckless itself? No. Anyway, however, if I think of not being struck, it can be interpreted that I arrogantly dare to compete with the sensei. When I practice with sensei, sometimes I just hit men and check my left foot. Of course, door and kote strikes hurt very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so look, it depends who you're playing against. Experienced kendoka is very subjective term, isn't it? And Jordan Nito, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Jordan Nito because it's all over the place, to be honest, and there's very, 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 very few experienced Jordan Nito players that you could also consider in the same category as teachers. It's not that there aren't any, there are some, but not many. But let's talk about going against the sensei, all right? Going against the sensei. So there's a couple of different levels of how to practice the sensei, right? The very, very beginning, like beginner level, yeah? you have to follow the sensei, right? The sensei is there as the teacher, not as the opponent for you to knock down, right? So in general, the sensei will lead the flow of the keiko if you pay attention. Okay. You shouldn't think, oh, I'm gonna hit sensei and prove how good I am. Instead, you have to look and watch. A good sensei will be able to guide you throughout the keiko. Now, it's not to say that all senseis know how to do this. A lot of them don't. Especially, a lot of them don't, all right? Even the high-level ones, because they maybe not have come through a system of teaching Kendo, especially to young people. But, for example, if I'm practicing with a youngster or a lower level person, what I want them to do is recognize when they're supposed to hit, right? And sometimes I'll let them hit me, and sometimes I'll hit them first. But they have to then, if I hit them first, then they have to try to hit again. They have to stay paying attention. It's not easy to explain, but it's not that you just hit randomly without any thought of anything. Okay, you have to, try to tune in to the leadership of the sensei and what they are trying to get you to do. Yeah, try to tune into that, and they should lead and you can follow. It's a bit like in the kata with uchitachi shitachi. Same sort of idea. But it's not always easy. I get that. It doesn't mean that you'll never get hit by the sensei, because sometimes they'll hit you, and it doesn't mean you'll always understand when to hit either. Maybe you won't. But you should, when you hit, you have to hit with everything and without hesitation and without care if you'll receive the counterattack. But those counterattacks shouldn't hurt. That shouldn't be painful. But it doesn't mean that you should just hit randomly, just without care for anything. Just bash, 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 bash. Doesn't mean that either, right? So I think you've got it in the last bit where you've said, just try to hit men, check your left foot, try to have a good kamae, watch the sensei, try to get to your distance, and when you think the sensei is ready to let you hit, then try to hit. And, if they do the kaishido, okay, they do the kaishido, turn around, start again, whatever. You have to try to develop that relationship with the sensei throughout the keiko. Okay? It's difficult. As I said, the difficult part is there's a lot of teachers that don't understand it as well. Okay? So they're not able to necessarily take on that role for their students and give the hikitate geiko. Okay, it's called hikitate geiko when the sensei gives the practice to the lower level person. Okay, but, at the same time, I understand it's difficult. Me as well. When I go and practice with the high level Hachisan sensei, of course, I want to make the strikes so that I can feel like I've made the good impression to them, right? But that's not the right way to benefit from practicing. These days, I try to be more understanding of course, it depends on the context as well of the sensei. The younger senseis, even the Hachisan sensei, the younger ones, they like to mix it a bit. They like to fight a little bit. So, that can, they sometimes will encourage a little bit more of a sort of competitive keiko. But you have to follow the lead of the sensei, not, you don't just take that on yourself. Whereas, if some of the sort of more experienced senseis, especially like the Hanshi senseis and that sort of thing, they're very, very experienced of doing that hikitate geiko. But you have to be on the receiving, you have to understand how to receive it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like how to not receive it, but how to be on this side of it. So, it's difficult. I keep saying that. I don't know what to say to you though. You have to figure it out as you go. Just don't bash randomly, and try to understand. You have to, Kendo is about a conversation between the two of you via the medium of your shinai, right? So you have to try to develop that sort of relationship during the keiko that's beneficial. Do you know? Bit lofty, I know. There we go. There we go. I'm sure you'll get there with it. All right. I'm sure you'll get there. Okay. There we go. We're at the end of the questions already. A little bit of a shorter show for you today. I know it's a little bit short and sharp with some of those answers. I think I covered everything though. We'll be having a little break next week. I won't be here next week. I will be in Milan at the WKC. Don't forget to watch it on the live stream. And you might even see me on there if I get on camera. I don't know. I don't know how the live stream will be organized, but it'd be great. I'll wave if I can. All right. So see you next time. Look forward to the WKC. Try and watch it if you can. Shop at KendoStar, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.